What's up, everybody? We have another episode here of Radio Wigwam's Palangi Studio of Rock, only every Tuesday night, hitting you 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 UK. Today, we have a special rock guest in the building here, and actor Wes Cage. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem, man. Now, whereabouts are you right now?
I'm in California right now.
California. Have you lived there your whole life?
Predominantly, yes, but I've spent a lot of time also in Europe, and New Orleans was also a place I'll go to constantly.
Okay. Now, your dad is the actor Nicolas Cage, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
And I have to say, you do look a lot like him. You
very strong genetics.
got the eyes, the cheek structure, everything. So, is this a new thing that you're getting into rock music, or have you always been into rock music or singing and playing guitar since you were younger? Or
Well, I've definitely always been musical and also an actor. Music, acting, and martial arts was pretty much on repeat every week from my oldest memories till now. So, rock is something that I'm getting more into. I've definitely always been into, more alternative metal and heavier rock, but this sound is definitely new. And I think we'll also change it up a bit with some other things that are concomitant with what we're doing. But different varying degrees of heaviness.
yeah, I figured I was like, this dude, he's got to like the metal, he's got to like the alt stuff. I see it in you. I was like the alt rock, maybe industrial metal. You ever listen to that kind of
Oh,
stuff?
the genre I invented, ghost metal, one of the parent genres is industrial metal. I mean, it came from that a lot of it.
There you go. And the new single out is called The Wolf, and the music video is on YouTube. You guys can check that out as well. Let's talk a little bit about the song first, and then we'll get into the music video. What's the song about, let's say, to you, or and then maybe how a listener perceives it?
Well, to me, it's about the dichotomy of the higher and lower self, and that we have two, there's polarities in everything, and that the polarity in our consciousness is that there's a lower frequency and higher frequency, and that we really need to become the highest frequency because the lower one brings us to some things that one would consider chaotic and cataclysmic in their life. It's so for me, it's all about really just. It's almost like a song that's telling people to put one foot in front of the other and really get going and to manifest their greatest dreams with their actions. I think for listeners, they'll see it. Hopefully, the wolf as a symbol of like kind of like the A game or game face one wants to put on before facing something that's kind of tedious or
Yeah,
intense.
I got that with the music video too. I was like, there's a little bit of like a deal with the devil thing, but it's within yourself,
Yes.
and it's the part of like, you start out, everyone who hasn't seen the music video out there already starts out as a homeless guy in the street, and it's kind of like he's exchanging himself for this, I don't want to call it music and fame sort of thing, but it's all like a giant metaphor, which I love.
Thank you so much. It's definitely metaphoric for sure.
So how does that character, and if you explain it to everybody, of him being like homeless and then where he ends up in the end?
Well, I think it was interesting that this homeless character, he's on the street asking for money. He looks like he's a little bit in a dissociated state, but somehow he feels that necessary to go inside of a high end restaurant, which that alone is like he almost has some confidence, or maybe that voice in him that's telling him to stay on the street. He'll never get better. He'll never do anything with his life. That kind of changed, and then
It's
from
almost
that,
like he wanted a job or something, or he wanted to
yeah,
go in and
which is so sacred and awesome that music video has that, because that's exactly what happens. Where if someone has a frequency shift where they go from the lower frequency and they shift positive and they say, no, I'm meant for that, I'm meant for better, and they kind of go with that inertia and go with that current, they'll wind up in a higher place, and they'll keep getting higher and higher.
yeah. And unfortunately, if that were to happen in real life, they'd probably tell the guy, you know, they'd probably kick him out.
Yeah, especially if his mentality is deteriorated and everything.
Yeah,
uh
he was
he would, yeah.
a little drunk, probably, or who knows. But that's probably the sad part, because there's people out there that was like, well, I can, maybe they were a bartender or a waiter or something, and they're really really good, and just because of their appearance and where they're at now, they walk in and they I don't want to say they have no chance, but you know what I mean, they end up kicking them out, or they don't even hear them out.
Yeah, I saw that once during it was about uh it on this Christmas, it'll be 2 Christmases ago. I was with my sons and I saw a homeless man inside of a diner, and I had just finished a movie and gotten paid, and the guy was yelling at the woman, calling her the woman at the front, calling her horrible names for not giving him a Christmas dinner, and how she doesn't have no spirit to do so. And he was freaking. As soon as he started freaking everybody out, I just walked up and gave him $100 and said, "Go into a restaurant politely and order dinner." And then he was like, walked away. So hopefully that was the character in the music video in the real life.
Wow, is that what inspired it a little bit?
I think maybe some of those events in my life, just seeing,
Subconscious.
I know at least in LA, Venice Beach, some of the homeless people, and it's an epidemic worldwide, but LA has quite its fair share. But I love how those guys and girls that are homeless, they start picking up a guitar somehow and entertaining people, and then they start getting known as, the person that dresses this way with the guitar that's on. There's a guy that's on rollerblades playing an electric guitar, and people know him as like an icon there. Not,
Yeah, but
you
he's
know,
but he's homeless.
he's homeless, but like if he went to go for a coffee or something, they'd be like, "Oh, it's that guy. Let's let him in." They become kind of like celebrities of the area.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's great that people can pick up a guitar and get some extra money that way. Or in New York City, I'm not in the city, but there's all the subway performers and all that kind of stuff too. And there's a lot of talented people, and once in a while you hear the story of them, getting picked off the street from somebody, and then, but I understand too, it's a risk. You don't really know that person, so it's like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Do you really get involved or not?
yeah, definitely. They can be dealing with the psychosis that could be pretty terrifying to deal with.
Yeah. Who directed and edited that music video?
His name is Vicente Cordero. Vicente Cordero. He just done a Cradle of Filth videos and quite a few. He's the best music video director and one of the best directors in general I've ever worked with. He's such a vessel of the arts and just absolutely brilliant.
Was that different, working on your own music video versus like being on a movie set and doing all that stuff?
Definitely, it was different, and it had its own kind of energy to it that and characteristics that are definitely different from any time I've done like television or film. It's but luckily the I mean one of the greatest parts of music videos for me is to just sing the song over and over again and try to add as much emotion and acting into it as possible so that the graphics of the emotion are conveyed and connected to the sounds.
Yeah, and you get to play different characters in it too, which is cool. And like
Yeah,
you with the long hair and stuff like that, I was like, I don't think he has long hair like that. And it's fun to, because you love acting, to get into those type of things too and bring it into the music video world. I always said, starting out, because I loved film growing up, and I was like, well, I'm getting into more of the music stuff now, but it's like music needs film and film needs music, and they're kind of have this weird relationship with each other, and things cross, which is interesting.
absolutely, absolutely.
So who are your influences for on that topic here?
I'll say my biggest influences that are in the physical dimension, other than spirits and divinity, would be like System of a Down, Rammstein, Horn,
Okay.
and all the black metal that I used to listen to and still listen to. It's found a way to transmute and transfer into what I'm doing now in some ways. It's I think it's there's like almost like a little signature or a little edge that there is in my work and anything I do that people could tell I've come from the black metal roots. But
Yeah.
also another humongous, I'd say the first biggest influence, which people don't really expect, is Enya. Any new age and spiritual music is my so like
Okay.
that ghost rock, ghost metal stuff I was doing, like industrial metal and new age, kind of put that out there, and then we found our way here.
Do you I don't know if you play all the instruments. I've seen you play, guitar and sing. Do you play other instruments too?
Yes, I played 12, and there's an album that I have on ice, and I'm waiting just to. There's a couple tracks we're going to send out, but on that record, that's the reason why I don't have wrinkles yet, thank God. But I got gray hair at 25 because of how much work and stress was put into that. I played literally every single instrument. I played drums, bass, guitar. I did keyboards. I even did piano, and then I did all of the soundscapes and like industrial and little things that you would have in a backing track that you couldn't
Those
hire. But
programmings, yeah.
all of that, like when I was supposed to be sleeping, when I'd come back from doing drums or vocals or something, when I was supposed to be sleeping, I took that time to stay up for 3 days at a time, programming stuff, bringing that on a USB, giving it to the producer, putting it in, and then adding it. It was insane.
So everything.
Everything.
I can
Yeah,
relate to that. It takes a lot of time.
definitely. Especially the drumming. It was such a, you know, it's always so fun to play drums, but when the click track comes on and you see where you're at, really,
Yeah, it's scary.
yeah.
You're like, why isn't it working? You know what
Why?
I mean? Now your new song, do you have a band play or are you doing all instruments in that too?
Well, I, Keith Wallen played the guitar in that and most of everything, and then I did the vocals on that. Of course, he kind of picked like the register and stuff, and we wrote together, and then we were doing it remotely too.
Yep.
And yeah, I went into the studio and did what it was definitely intense to have like my reference is Keith Wallen's voice. His voice is so profound, one of the greatest voices of the genre, and I did my best to deliver the ultimate of myself. I did a little prayer beforehand. I don't drink anymore, but I went to a bar that's called the Wolf and Crane, which is like the wolf, and I said a little prayer and drank some Japanese whiskey and prayed that I would do the most incredible vocals of my life, and I delivered it.
There you go. Japanese whiskey.
Yeah,
You I do like to get in some random questions too. Like what do you like to eat for food and things? I mean, let's talk about from a singer's standpoint. I like to talk about gear and certain things too that people
yeah,
don't even know. They won't ask you on the radio, like, well, what's your stuff? You know what I mean?
definitely.
I know what I would stay away from when I'm singing and that kind of stuff. But what do you do?
Like as in like gear wise or
As like let's say diet. Let's start out.
oh,
Do you stay away from like the dairies and stuff only when you sing or
luckily my voice from utilizing it so much in my life, I've I kind of have a like a what do you call that, like a almost like an invincible vocal cord situation going on where it's like I could inhale a whole cigar and still perform, but that's because of how much I've been doing it. But what would affect me is I think alcohol, and I luckily I don't have that anymore. But
yeah,
the
dries you out.
yeah, the alcohol is good, or when I drink kava, which I'm still sober doing it, but it's a relaxant that has the same effect as caffeine does. It relaxes you, but it has the same effect that caffeine does when it comes to biology, and it dries you out as well. Too much smoking. So I just think that anything that's like a diuretic would really affect me vocally. And
Yeah.
diet wise, if I wanted to sound extra rich or extra creamy, I would use like flax oil and eat salmon. That really
Yeah,
helps.
okay. So healthier stuff.
Yeah,
Not like McDonald's or anything.
definitely not. And I know that like it's crazy, especially me being Italian on my father's side. I hear about these Italian opera singers that give up tomatoes because of the acidity for vocals, and wow, with how
That's
much
ki-
they
that's where I'm at right now too, because I am totally Italian, and I'm like the tomatoes they just kill your voice. I love. You grew up on it, right? You're
of
Italian.
course
It's how
it's
much
weird. Like
pasta can you eat?
yeah, some of the bassos and baritones that are big guys, they don't give up anything because of that. But when they start hitting alto and you start getting higher, those that register, just the tomatoes will cause like
Yeah.
shit.
You said your dad's Italian? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's Italian and also of Germanic descent. and my mom's has a lot of Scandinavian, so that's why I'm like 80% of the northern kind of bloodline. But my Italian bloodline is very heavy, and it's even kind of like a part of my identity because we're South Italian, and then we also have some. When I looked at my blood in the with one of those ancestry companies, even though I've always known, it showed how there's so much Greek in my Italian blood too.
Yeah, I can tell that too. I could tell in the music video. But I was like, I wasn't sure. I know there's something going on there. It's like it's like a club. Every Italian knows another Italian, and
Absolutely.
it's just like they're probably saying, "Well, you didn't know Nick was Italian." Well, yeah, well, I never met him. You just get the vibe, you know what I mean? So it's like a cool little club thing going on. But
Absolutely.
so have you acted since a kid? I know you went all the way back on IMDb. Your first movie with your dad was Lord of War, and you've been in a bunch of stuff since then. What did you do before then?
Before Lord of War, I was only doing plays, and then I went to the Youth Academy of Dramatic Arts in LA, which I think is wonderful. We call it YADA for short, and that gives you a great um, beginning foundation for dramatic arts and also musical theater. Um,
Okay.
and we did stuff like Guys and Dolls and Annie, all these plays that would used to mortify me because I'm not really good with the musical plays and stuff, but
Yeah, yeah.
um, it still got me going. And then I trained a little after I did Lord of War with my dad when I was about 3 years later. So I was 16. I went into Stella Adler, which is my favorite acting school, and Stella Adler herself is my favorite thespian and teacher of and her acting methodology. I think is the best one, better than even what do you call it, the method acting, the most dangerous form. But I think
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, she's incredible. Makes you rely more on your imagination. And I studied it at an adult level when I was 16. So the adult level is more like some of the actors went all the way when with the scene, and like if there was kissing, there was full blown kissing, or if a character was nude, I saw one guy drop his pants. I was like, whoa, like
Yeah.
very intense.
Very intense, very serious. Yeah. The between like acting and music, and I mean that's been a part of your life for a long time, especially growing up with your dad and stuff. And it's did I'm curious, like did your dad ever say like not to get into acting and maybe do something else, or was it like cool?
He's definitely warned me of fame and some of the things that come with that, and that right when I was born, the world knew about me already from that. And I've seen some pretty intense things with fame, especially like when my dad and I would be walking around when I was younger in a different country, that maybe had a different opinion of distance with how close, and just like
Oh,
being so many people that it literally took an hour for us to get out of a venue, because my dad always told me they butter our bread, we're going to always be nice, and he would always sign just like I do. I'll always sign autographs, but it did take our whole day to get out of there. And he's like, "Are you sure you want this?" Look at me, "Are you sure? Are you going to do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's good."
yeah.
So
It's a lot. I'm sure it's a lot of pressure too, and it's a whole other thing of I know people don't understand,
yeah,
whatever that level is. And it's yeah, it's tough, but that's good that he supported that and said, are you sure you want to do this rather than, you're doing this,
yeah,
that sort of
absolutely.
thing.
Also, if there's a person that can't handle being communicative and polite with their neighbor and fellow man and all this, like those people are going to send someone home that really loves them in a very like distraught, painful condition, to know that the person they look up to or admired had said something horrible of them. I can't stand celebrities that are rude to their fans, or that talk down about them. It's just it makes me pretty enraged, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. All I can say is maybe some people they do it and they don't want it from the beginning. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So it's just like they'll never be. accepting or happy of anybody that comes after that, you know.
Definitely.
Um, what do you have coming up here? Let's acting or music. Let's go with acting first.
With acting, so I've been spending the rest of this year finishing some scripts that I have created. One is an action adventure saga that I made with my fiance that is like one of those like 150 pagers that would be like literally over 2.5 hours on screen, like a big Lord of the Rings style.
That'd be
I,
cool.
PG-13, so we can have everybody come. That is or probably even PG. I think we could pull it off with this. The other one is another. It was a TV show that we're going to make later. We're going to do a movie of it first. It's should be rated R+ or something. It's a brutal, very dark uh, film that will remind people of like Squid Games and
Okay.
black stuff. But so I've been working on those, and then I've been getting a lot of great requests, from people to do some things. No deals signed yet, but musically, I got to write a black metal track for a film, which was awesome because I haven't written to blast beats in so long and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you like growl or anything in those, or you just sing?
Totally growled
You
in
do,
it.
okay.
Yeah, the guy was like, I was writing him some stuff, and I was like, I see kind of a goth vibe for your movie, so I made you some, kind of Depeche Mode, or some kind of like 80s and early 90s goth sounding stuff. And the heaviest I got with one of the tracks is maybe like Deftones, and then the guy just let me let me know his truth, and he's like, "Can you just make me some black metal?" I'm like, "Oh." I was like, "You want all the way? We'll go all the way." And
You're like,
I
just
gave.
tell me from the start, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have a home studio and stuff where you do that, or just do you go to studio, get some guys or?
I have a home studio. All my favorite gear with me. Nothing too gigantic because I go back and forth from Nevada and California, so I like to be able to travel with it and not have to like lug huge amplifiers and stuff. But
Yeah.
I work with either a desktop or laptop, and I have all the same programs as the British broadcast channel uses for their like TV shows and stuff, and um, really awesome plugins, and then um, all the axes I play with.
What kind of microphone do you use for if you're
Right,
doing like a voiceover, that kind of stuff?
I'm using a Rode mic right now,
Okay.
which I haven't used in ages, but it's see, it's right here. The Yeah, this is just a typical, whoa, Rode NT1.
Yeah, I know that one. Yes. Yeah.
I love this mic. It's been great. I heard it's used for podcasts a lot. I like the sound, because it has a nice brightness to it, which I've been using a lot.
Yep. Yeah, certain mics suit your voice differently. It's
Yeah,
all on the feel. Shout out here too to Cat Audio hooking me up for these headphones and this podcast mic. Some companies are really, really good to indie artists and things. And there's like sometimes there's just so much stuff, and you're like, I don't know what is right. And the answer is, I wish there was a store, right, you could go to and try out every single microphone to determine that. There
totally.
really, there really isn't. I mean, like Guitar Center or something like that, like whatever the music stores are, they don't have every mic in the universe.
Yeah,
So unfortunately, you have to kind of go through mics,
very much.
So it's, I know the costs and the investment and all that kind of stuff to figure out what really works. Do you use a certain preamp with that microphone too? Like, do you like tubes or solid state better? Or
I would usually use the universal audio preamps.
okay,
Um, those were my favorite. I had gifted one of those to a friend, and I am going to be, working with whatever income I make from what I'm doing with film and scoring and music. I will be building two solid studios, California and Nevada, that will be like set up to where I don't take stuff back and forth,
yeah,
and I'll
you
get
just
all I had. But I use mostly like Schecter guitars, and the I'm using the Omen series, the 7 string. Um,
okay. I got the Diamond series behind me.
Oh,
back there.
brilliant.
I like those. I
Those are
have
awesome.
the it's an LA 610 that I use for the vocals
Oh,
from
that's
Universal Audio. Those are cool because it's got the extra compression, the EQ in it.
that's the best. I mean, with the genre that I kind of I wanted to like I did a post recently describing the intricacies of the genre to show that it really does exist, and that's because some people made jokes that some friends texted it to me, and I got a laugh out of it about some memes saying Weston Cage ghost metal, it'll never happen. Like well, I made an award winning album with it, man. So I don't know about that. Award winning. I won an award because of that album. So
Oh,
just
there you go.
I do it, but um, I was originally using the 8 string Schecters and then 6 string Schecter basses, but now I've moved on to 7 string guitars and 5 string basses that kind of bring the muddiness down because
Yeah,
I don't like
that's
EQ. Yeah,
that's low, man.
yeah. Uh,
and
See these
and playing
guys
wise.
in playing wise too. It's too muddy. And these guys in these bands doing the 9 string thing now in death metal, I can't believe it.
No, you need certain gear, certain amps, certain pedals. Like you would need to know exactly what can bring that sound out so you could hear it. Even because I teach lessons, I don't think you can see it, but
Oh, brilliant.
I have like a simple Marshall code and a Black Star beam that I just teach out of the small stuff. But I remember one day my friend brought over a 7 string. He was playing it through, I think, the beam, and I was like, "There's not as much definition through it." I love Black Star. I'm a part of their artist stuff, so I love you guys. But
Amazing.
the Marshall though, the guitar, the 7 string, whatever it was, you could hear the definition a little bit better. So and yeah, that stuff you really have to play out and play around with what works.
Yeah,
It's all about tone and all that stuff, and it's hard because I come from a more of an engineering standpoint of too, where it's like, how do you bring out those tones and then still have the specific style and then not lose something and then have it be what commercial.
engineering, man, it's amazing because that's like it's an art within an art. Like it's so I always make sure to separate my days now where I used to kind of like to mix as I went, but now I like to just do the music and then have some kava and relax and do some engineering.
It's a good way to
It's
do it. Yeah, do the music first, step away from it, maybe come back.
yeah,
I have to kind of record it and then kind of throw on almost like a poor man's master just to hear it kind of ramped up,
totally.
and then you get rid of it later and do whatever you want.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
that's what I like. This show's a little different. I like to talk about gear and certain things that necessarily they don't talk about. They don't even ask. Like they might say who you're endorsed by, but that'll
Yeah,
be as far as
that's
it goes.
I love that you do that. It's a conversation that's always interests those of us that know gear and stuff. I used to be endorsed by PV. I feel like I still am, but they got to come back from the dead. I don't know what's going on with PV always right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they have my favorite by far my favorite guitar amps, like the all of those like the that 5150 PV amp that I don't even know if they make those anymore, but that was a very
Yeah,
growl amp for especially technical metal and some of the more extreme stuff.
some Ozzy and yeah. I remember one of my friends had something like that, and he used it for like Beatles, believe it or not.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah,
kind of interesting. I do notice going back to your new song is called The Wolf here, and it's hard rock, it's all this stuff. There is I want to call it like a danceable element to it too. There's a flow to it, and it's not enough where it's like, well, it's just a dance track or a dance rock track or something. And describing your influence is, it's I hear that music too, where some of that is like I don't know what it is. It's that groove that's in the metal stuff where it's like even Rob Zombie, it's like I'm listening to metal right now, right? But why am I like grooving in a different way?
totally. I mean, I've always loved that, and even in the ghost rock stuff I was doing, the ghost metal track, there's a track called Phantom Clockwork from the Prehistoric Technology album, and I always have the drummer when I play live have the session open where it's all the industrial, symphonic, or any element that was recorded, basically there, and so where they click the space bar and they have the click track and they're going with those elements, and it's hilarious because one of my tracks is so dancey that when you pull the vocals and the whole band out of it, all you hear underneath was like a little like a little pulse that you hear in like a nightclub somewhere in Prague or something. And
Yeah, that's
it would,
cool.
it would always make the guys laugh, especially I think Brandon Soller from Atreyu heard some of the tracks without anything, and it was just, we were laughing at how how electro Europop sounded. But
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's layers, folks. That's what it is. When you mix and record stuff, it's all about layers. There's stuff that you guys don't even hear to make that sound. And like I interviewed, I don't know if you're a fan of 3 Days Grace. I interviewed Matt from 3 Days Grace, and we were talking about some of the stuff too. And he loves Schecter guitars too. We were talking about tones and gear and things. And I wanted to try to get Neil, the drummer, on here because he's into songwriting. And I don't know if you know who Howard Benson is. He's like a big rock producer, done a bunch of stuff. And
yeah,
they have a label together. So they're into all that kind of stuff. And I thought of you too, because I'm like, they're producing artists kind of in your vein. So maybe I could send you a link to their company. You could check them out. Maybe that'd be awesome if you work with them.
I would love that.
He's like one of he did all the Daughtry records and everybody, it's
Nice.
down to whoever. I think I want to say the Breaking Benjamin and Starset new song he did. That was
Oh, nice.
their first song. I don't know what you think of like some styles and some bands. Like, would you consider just because they're not metal, like Nickelback, are they metal or are they like, what are they?
Right. I mean, I think that they're all different levels of the same kind of entity, and it's almost like if the right was, or the left or something, one of the polarities was super extreme and one was super soft. I feel like there's a needle that goes back and forth where, like, with certain bands, and um even extreme metal bands that are insanely heavy, being fans of like Rush and stuff, it's trippy. It's like
Yeah.
how it all
Or they like
translates.
Dolly Parton or something. It's like,
Yeah, it's a trip. I
like
mean, I
I say I love Johnny Cash, but he's not that much of a stretch, right? Because his music goes any genre,
exactly.
name it.
I love going to shows and seeing projects that are rock or really soft stuff now, because but if I'm definitely going to go to a concert to where, like, I can't miss it, or like I'm physically incapable of not going, it would definitely be the more heavy metal
Yeah.
genre stuff,
Yeah. I've
especially
seen
like,
oh, go ahead.
oh yeah, like if Septic Flesh or Behemoth is playing, I'm gonna definitely go.
Yeah. I'm more like Metallica. I love 80s, so I love Metallica and Megadeth and that kind of stuff. But I do love. Did you ever listen to Drowning Pool?
Oh yeah, they're incredible.
Oh, dude, listen to that first record. That first record, still to today, compared to all the other bands around it, that record, the way it was produced and everything, is still solid. Like it outbeats like Linkin Park and Godsmack, and sonically, it's just, I don't know what he did, but it's very still solid to this day.
They figured magic out for sure.
Bodies, let the bodies hit the floor. That one.
Such a powerful song that made it to so many films too.
Yeah, it's sad the guy died, and it's like, you know, they were really, really, I know they've had other singers and stuff like that, and but the original singer, man, he had it.
He really did.
Had it. I got a few more questions here. I was gonna say, what type of acting role, if somebody came up to you and said pick one, whether it's like a famous character, like let's say like I don't know, Batman or something, or if you wanted to go and play a specific role you've always wanted to, what would that be?
Well, I would definitely want to play at least once in my life a historic military figure from the ancient part of history in like Southern Europe, or like some kind of like Greek or Roman.
I thought you
You
would
know,
say that. That's so weird.
yeah,
I was picturing that in my head.
it's totally what I want to do. I think it's because it's meant to be. You know, it's like
Yeah.
there's there that I gotta play, even if he's from Persia or something, some character that's like that. But other than that, I want to take a crack when I'm older at, or just put on makeup to make me look older. But when I grow my hair and beard out, people always, especially if they're Russian, they call me Rasputin. So I think I would be able to knock that out. And
Very
then
cool.
you had mentioned Batman. If there's one superhero character aside from like Beast or something, because of he's being big, intellectual, that kind of stuff, but Batman would be one of the ones I would want to try, because I kind of grew up in a home like Bruce Wayne did. You
Yeah. Yeah.
know, I had like martial arts training early on, like him, and the same. I think the real Batman, his height and weight is like exactly mine. It's like it'd be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, your dad's a Superman fan, so it might clash there a little bit. But still, that was cool though. I did see the clip of, I mean, it was CG, but him as actually the Superman character that he was supposed to play. I thought that was
Yeah,
cool.
I,
But
I he just, my dad really loves the mythology of a character that is from a comic book, and immerses himself in it a little deeper than other actors will. Um, his intensity when becoming Ghost Rider was unbelievable.
that was my favorite role he did. I wish hopefully makes another one. So I was like, that was awesome.
I got to do some of the voice of Ghost Rider in the second one. I recorded that in the studio, and
That was
they,
gritty. Second one was very gritty, totally kind of different vibe movie.
yeah, they were looking for a vocal wise for when he turns into this flaming skull of Ghost Rider and he's talking. They're like, they wanted a really sibilant, kind of like hissing demonic sound. And I think he let them know. Well, he's like, and at that time I was in Eyes of Noctum, so he's like, well, my son's in a band that literally does that kind of vocal sound, so might as well get him. And then I went in there, and I remember I gave a perform. I started like speaking in multiple ancient languages. I did like Hebrew, Old Norse, Greek, Albanian, Latin, and like they all like wanted to sage the studio after I did that. Something dark in here that you did, but I'm glad we got it for a Marvel movie.
Yeah. It's a family friendly movie, sort of.
Yeah,
That's cool though. I didn't know that. I didn't know you were credited that. That's cool. That's cool. And it's I might have heard something with some character with that. I was like, at one time they're like one of his sons did something. I thought it was maybe they stepped in for an acting role somehow, but that'd be cool.
yeah.
What else? Like let's say non-famous character. Like, is there a type of character you've always wanted to play?
I think for non-famous or type of character, I could really do something with the mafia kind of a character, someone that's in that.
Yeah.
Like, I try to avoid slicking my hair back sometimes in certain interviews or meetings, because sometimes I don't know what it is about my face, especially when I shave, but with the slick back hair, people immediately think mafioso kind of a character, or Italian crime syndicate boss or something. So I
Yeah.
would
Yep.
want that.
I've seen that in some of the videos you have, I think on it's on YouTube or your Instagram or something, or your hair slicked back. And I go, you got, especially with the suit on.
Totally. I went to a meeting once with the casting director, a very big one, and she was there, and I walked in there with the suit with my hair slicked back, and first word out of her mouth was like, okay, so mafia movies. What do we? I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly.
Like, that's not what I'm auditioning for, man. Or lady, sorry. How I mean, everyone's got to have an agent too, right? You have your own agent, and I don't know how to word this without. So we have companies and booking agents in music, right? Everyone out there that don't know, how's like a booking agent, maybe a manager, different than a casting agent or your own agent?
Well, for a little while, there was a time which fascinated me, where managers or agents started, especially managers though, people were just getting a manager because they were doing what the agents were doing, and they would kind of like merge into one thing. But I mean, of course, traditionally your agent's going to be finding um the jobs or the parts, and then the manager will be securing them and doing the contracts, and also being someone that you connect with regularly to kind of
So
figure, yeah,
they have to be more not a lawyer, but they have to know contracts, right? So if
contracts and
have a manager that knows that stuff.
yeah, and then like the manager's kind of that like person that's close with you in a way where they're like a, you know, almost like a friend in a way too, where it's like you tell them, oh, I my ideology is this, I want to do films like that, and then they start hunting for that and telling the agent to look for that, or they're the one
Yeah.
that tell managers will also set up the interviews or tell you to get the headshots in a certain way. I have an incredible manager named Chuck Binder. He's been in the industry longer than my I've been alive, or some of my relatives have been alive. I mean, he's got the Lifetime Achievement Award as a manager. He was with Sharon Stone and all
Oh
the
wow.
yeah. He's from the age that everyone romanticizes to in Hollywood, where like where people were, it was just, and he's amazing. He's like he did all this from playing tennis as a young man. He played tennis with awesome filmmakers and artists and became one himself. It's just so awesome.
Yeah. Just kind of hanging around the scene and
Yeah,
what happens. That's a whole other conversation we can get into of the past between now and the industry and both industries. That's almost like 3 interviews right there.
yeah,
It's so, oh man, I tell you, I don't even know where both those industries are anymore or where they're going. It's all
yeah.
like weird stream revenue and AI stuff and like with your dad with the Superman movie. He actually filmed footage and they more or less CGI'd a bunch of stuff. So it's like as actors are, the back and forth between are we okay with that, or does it take out complete emotions of what we were doing? You know,
Yeah.
I think it will still get better between the whatever AI CGI stuff, and then on the audio side, let's call it, the quality of our music, that kind of the way it's recorded and the way it's um, ingested by the listener, I would say.
Definitely. It's going to be interesting seeing how this evolves. I mean, you know, with AI, I know everything has its place, but of course I'm SAG and an actor, and I just don't think that AI will ever be able to replicate what a human being can emotionally, because AI is digital and humans are quantum, so it's like we
Yep.
have this soul that you can see, and it's digital will never have that soul, just as like, a real choir. I mean, of course I use MIDI that is of a real choir, but a synthetic choir is never going to be like
Yep.
a human.
I think it's because it's recorded a certain way, but what you're lacking is the actual air.
Yeah.
When somebody speaks, there's air or into a microphone, that sort of thing. I think it's, even if I recorded my own voice and then you go and you press a button on a keyboard, that's not quite there. For some reason, air is in the mid tones of frequencies too. And it can be there, but I just realized I'm like, it's not there, because when I record a guitar amp, I can hear the air. And then somehow when you recreate it, it's not that it's not there. It's just something's gone. And technically you could be like, oh, everything is the same. Everything is there. Like, look, the graph. You're like,
Yep.
no, no, we're humans. We can feel it. We can hear it.
Absolutely, the air is crucial. And then I heard once from a guy who was a friend of mine, that's all he does is like, he gave up being a musician just to focus on the mixing and stuff. But he told me once that a choir, even though everybody is right on the note, there's microscopic little like micro imperfections with each person,
Yeah.
which makes it humongous. Even though they're all on the same note, there's like a little mistake that almost, it's like a big chord in a way, even though it's all the same note, or maybe harmony or something like that.
Yeah. The
And
timing cannot be the same.
it
It's
cannot be
all
this.
it's all different.
It's like, and then trying to use and like you're saying about air too, like trying to use that on a keyboard, it does, you don't have that air, and it doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. You could mic it through an amp, maybe that'd be
Yeah.
something, but yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky.
Very.
I
Sometimes I
like,
just not wire with my own voice, just stack them.
yeah, it's like let's digitally automate our voice here, folks. I don't know. We got Wes Cage on the program here. Appreciate you coming out and coming out. Well, let's say staying in our houses, being able to do these interviews. Like I'd have to go to LA or fly somewhere, right, to do it in person. So
Sure.
technology, this Zoom stuff is very, very cool. Which I like. I appreciate your time and everything. The new single is Wolf. Check it out. And I'm sure there's going to be more songs, right, coming from you. Anything you can just kind of throw in quick, maybe when the next song's coming out.
Well, I've been in discussion with my manager Blasco, ultimate incredible being on this earth, one of the greatest, and I'm talking about doing something in less than 6 months. I really want to get going with more tracks, because we have other ones, and I've worked a member of Seven Dust on one as well, which was pretty awesome. So we got some stuff.
Got to rock it up, man. Rock
Yeah.
it up. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Radio Wigwam here. Check it out. We're on, even though it's a UK station, I am from upstate New York, broadcasting from the home studio. You can be anywhere digitally, so it doesn't matter where the station is. You know what I mean? I appreciate it. This will be up on, make sure you check out our social media channels, YouTube, all this stuff, and it'll be on our new podcast version that we'll be releasing sometime soon as well. And for everyone, we are recording this right before Christmas, but this is going to air in January. Even though this is January, I'm going to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody out there, and to you too with your family and everything. And hopefully, I don't know. I want to hear some more rock stuff, man. Come on now.
Happy holidays. I appreciate you. One of the best I work with, and molto grazie, fratello italiano.
Thanks, guys, very much. We will talk to you later.